Gregarious goon squads, this is internet personality Vangelus, and while we live in a world with seemingly annual long rectangular multi-packs in Transformers, I often can't actually afford them when I see them. However, thanks to a combination of TFCon LA 2024 and ex-Twitter user Kian Carlisle's extremely specific fixation on auto troopers, I am able to talk to you today about the Buzzworthy Bumblebee Transformers Legacy Troop Builder Multi-Pack, containing 4 utterly nameless nobodies to purchase many copies of. Because we're just in time for younger fans to have generational FOMO over not mass purchasing deluxe Viacons like a decade ago. But going through 4 entire toys all at once in a single video is, medically speaking, extremely dangerous. So I'm teaming up with fellow YouTube creator and liquidation expert, Lai Diaclona. While I'll be featuring the Quintesson Bailiff and G2 Decepticon Trooper in this video, my courageous collaborator will be popping in with her thoughts on the Auto Trooper and Seeker. Be sure to hit up her video on youtube.com/@Diaclona for her full thoughts. And to respect the friggin' spirit of the friggin' collaborator, listen, don't embarrass me. Oh, I have to update the screenshot. Hang on. There we go. Anyway, go check out her channel for her side of this video collab. Links and details are available. I'm sure you know how this works. The Quintesson Trooper from the Buzzworthy Bumblebee Troop Builder Multi-Pack is a greened-up, cartoonified redeco of the Quintesson Bailiff found in the Earthrise Quintesson Pit of Judgment 5-pack. I just wanted to write out that ridiculous sentence and say it into a microphone. Have a go at it yourself. If you never had hands-on with the Bailiff, they're basically an Earthrise Alicon with much more ornate shoulders, a fancier 2-part weapon, and the funny snooted head that you probably noticed throughout G1 Season 3, and possibly even 1986's The Movie. No, not the tentacle guy, no, not the guy who pulls the lever. Anyway, the Bailiff is beefed up with heftier hand feel and a slightly less henchy head position. Also, if you never handled an Earthrise Alicon either, look, bud, pal, we're trying to do 4 figures at the same time, like, read a book. Still bearing the hidden tail sword that is admittedly easy to forget about, especially with a fancier stick to wave around, the Bailiff also maintains the janky and adorable transformation of the Root mold. We all know the arms aren't doing much, but the gator face is still big enough for me to not really care. Look at those gums, the cybernucleic musculature of those lips. Rarely do we get to enjoy a third outing with such a smoochable Transformers kisser. And hey, look, the stick still stores on the back. Whee! As a sad person who didn't get the base Alicon version of this figure until months ago, in 2024, this bonus head was my first time seeing the goody-munching portrait in person. It also meant I tried swapping it on to the more ornate Bailiff body first to create the iconic fancy Alicon. Be careful with the fin if you do so. You gotta turn it around if you go to alt mode to protect the fin, since it sits a bit higher up and less henchy than on the original. The bonus head is a great fit on a base Alicon if you've got one though. It's got more paint, and while it's not a perfect plastic color match, at the very least it adds even more variance to a hypothetical Alicon army. I still only have the one, so, you know, pity me, buy me a pizza, etc. I'm so happy the color-accurate Bailiff made it into the Troop Builder box because this one is troop buildable. Let the Pit of Judgment one be a Mega Bailiff or something. Having 2 of these is a perpetual joy, be it to flank the Quintesson Elite or whatever new master whose thrall they may have stumbled into on Legacy World. Alright, Lai, tell us a quick capsule about the famous Auto Trooper from Kiss Players, a canonized piece of Transformers media.
The Auto Trooper is the idea of this 4-pack perfected, pressed into a deluxe class stick of dynamite, and given an alternate head that is simultaneously brave in its existence and horrifying to think about. The aforementioned idea is to repaint an old mold into something fresh and desirable, like a crisp green apple in lacy lingerie, and boy don't I want to slather him in peanut butter. The Siege Ratchet hide mold is about as good as it gets, not missing a lick of articulation, and done up in crispier colors than Ratchet himself could ever dream of. The plastic is solid, the mold has not degraded, and the toy is as fun as it's ever been, resplendent in a deco that breathes life into a body not even dead yet.
I didn't pick up Legacy Evolution Skullgrin as of this recording, so this is actually my first experience with the design. Shouts out and obnoxious apologies to everybody wanting to hear more shouting about that toy. To cut to the chase, I friggin' love this as a minty fresh grimdark goon from the deepest, darkest 1990s. To cut to the other chase, both of mine have generally been solid in hand, not seeming to suffer as much from the endless caterwauling that has followed poor Skullgrin from rollback shelf to rollback shelf. Like, I've had the treads come off a few times. I put them back on. Shrugemoji.webp. If I were to pop a capsule review in here for the base Skullgrin design minus its giant head, I do think this figure comes off more as a Siege reflector than a Siege soundwave, which is to say, it pointedly lacks gravitas, but definitely has NPC swagger. It was born for this moment when it could become a small swarm surrounding a taller person with a named health bar. Also, I constantly forget which way to orient this little tail thing, and probably have it backwards a few times in the footage. Listen, I'm not here to arbitrate or litigate what your G2 Universe Decepticon Trooper does with their booty, their cake, their behind business. The G2 Universe Decepticon Troopers do have a bunch of snazzy boons and less risky aesthetics when compared to Skullgrin. For example, nobody really cares what these guys turn into, and as an avowed Cybertronian space shape alt mode enjoyer, a treaded stick with guns is totally in my wheelhouse. My tread shack. Also, they don't have a gigantic skull for a head, opting instead for two different and more demure horned skullette options. That's right, options plural S. First up, this piece uses a delightfully slick rail mount to easily swap between both portraits. But those portraits also use 3mm connections on their horns, allowing for not only some point posture tweakery, but also straight up horn swapping. This means I kinda want two more for the fully horned visual cornucopia. Between all the head customization, the inherently option-filled EVO Fusion accessories, the dashingly stark color schemes, and the humbly threatening alt mode, this is like a perfect troop builder. I'd have bought a couple 2-packs of just this. If you bought the 4-pack for Auto Troopers and hate this mold, throw yours at me at conventions, for free. I won't charge you. G-Axis demands his horny himbo army. But nobody demanded a bunch of blue Earthrise Seekers, at least not in my opinion. Let's hear the opinion of Live from youtube.com/@Diaclona.
Have you ever wanted a Seeker mold that was outmoded the moment it released in a color scheme that is the tertiary to the tertiary member of both the primary and tertiary standard Seeker trios? No? Well, here he is anyways. I have a clouded fondness for the Earthrise Seeker mold. It's fun enough, and does enough to look fine as a bit of muscle at the back of a Decepticon shelf, and in spite of the baffling decision not to pick a distinct color for an already completely nondescript literal no-name, this is a lovely shade of blue. But you know its problems. If you have beef with the Earthrise Seeker, then this is not going to push you towards veganism. It's the same thing again in a slightly different color, in a pack where he does technically fit in, but not even including an alternate cone-based head to fit in properly with the rest of the gang. He's an oddity in the pack, he's an oddity among the Seekers, he is filler in the truest sense of the word.
This multi-pack is the only one of the 4 now that I've actually picked up as of this recording, and it's so close to perfection. The Quintesson Bailiff and Auto Trooper are two different solid excuses to buy 2 copies of the box, the former an excellent correction, and the latter a solid swan song for both a Siege-era jewel and Kissplay representation within the first 40 years of this, our wholesome franchise. The G2 Universe Decepticon Trooper, however, is a tour de force, bullying me into wanting 2 more, actually pushing me into visions of a foursome that I haven't had with Transformers since the distant days of G1 Steve from Prime. It's the Seeker, though, who brings the whole dream crashing back into reality. I like the Earthrise Airplanesman mold. My thumb was firmly bitten in its direction until I got Starscream and found out that I actually did want a simple, fancy, bigger classic Seeker. But this Troop Builder Seeker is so staggeringly boring to me, so blue and Thundercracker core, and most damning of all, head swapless. Literally unfit to carry used human water for the G2 Decepticon Troopers. So I am happy to have this set, and will likely be chasing G2 Decepticon Troopers as long as I can guilt-trip people who don't enjoy them into literally giving theirs to me as an act of objective morality. But I'm also really happy I didn't buy lots of this set off the shelf because I have no friggin' clue what I'd do with all those Seekers. I couldn't just give them to people, that would be objectively immoral. Anyway, this has been internet personality Vangelus, and that's been my erstwhile collaborator, live from Diaclona, who was also the mastermind of this very dual video dissection project. Check out her video if you haven't already. I'm literally linking you to it right now. Look, I'm even using a YouTube card. I hate cards. There's also a link in the description. Check out Lai's video, check out the Diaclona channel, and check out her streams, like I'm sure you're always checking out my streams. Sometimes we're on each other's streams. We do knowledge shares, like she tells me what jelking is, and I give her plus Doom, and actually I just recently learned that Limp Bizkit CUIT is a thing. It's amazing how many particularly moist things you can learn about when you open your mind to the world.